So my name is Nyasha. I'm a registered social worker by profession. I am also a director for 24/7 Support UK Limited. I am also responsible individual. I am also nominated individual for both our supported accommodation and also for our supported living, which is CQC registered. I am also director of Blue Marble Lodges, me and my beautiful wife. We are directors of Blue Marble Lodges and Resorts in Masvingo and in Harare. It's an opportunity to stand here so that I can also advertise our business abroad. So for those who are going to be traveling to Zimbabwe, in Harare we'll take care of you. In Masvingo, where the Great Zimbabwe is, I know some have never been in Great Zimbabwe. I think Mr. Mwedziwandira is going to advertise something that is exciting, that is coming in August. And Blue Marble has offered anyone coming from the UK coming to that event a journey to Masvingo, all covered by Blue Marble, to see the Great Zimbabwe. And Blue Marble will take care of you, lunch, transport and everything. We are only 20 kilometers away from Great Zimbabwe, so we are not too far. Obviously, like I said, I'm going to only talk 10 minutes on the Ofsted registration because Muchada has said most of it. I can't say more than what he has already said. But what I can say is let's look at how to set up a residential children's home and stay compliant. Like what Muchada said, there are two main categories. There is the residential children's homes that are under 16, and there is supported accommodation that is 16 and above. So I will try and touch on both, but most of the things that Muchada has said, I can confirm that is the process. Just to add on his disclaimer, I think like just when they say as a protocol, this is not a business like any other business where you think you are going there to make money. If you go into this business thinking you are going to make money, you'll be disappointed. But making money is a bonus in any business, I know that. But with this one, specifically this one, because this is not a grocery shop, this is human beings. So the chairperson was here and she talked about compassion, kindness, all those things. If you don't have those things, please don't start this business, because you mess it up for everybody else. I went into this business out of passion. And I can tell you and I can confirm that I do have the passion of looking after children who are in care. This is why I've stayed within the same business since 2014 to date. So we do run residential children's homes. Some are EBD, some are learning disabilities, and also we do run supported accommodation across the country. Right, so when you are setting up your residential children's homes, this applies the same as well with supported accommodation. You have to first of all secure a suitable premise. When we say a suitable premise is what I have seen most landlords doing is just think, okay, now that my tenant is no longer occupying this house, I can just turn it into supported accommodation, or I can just turn it into a children's home. I've had quite a few people coming to my office or ringing me asking, that I want to turn my house into children's home or supported accommodation. Which supported accommodation is now the most popular at the moment. It's not as easy as that. The place has to be suitable, right? So you also, Maybe to add on that, I was reading just a few days ago that Ofsted at the moment is about 1,600 applications for both children in supported accommodation, which they are still to process, and over 1,000 for supported accommodation alone, which they are still to process. So I'll go back again to what Muchada was saying, that yes, there is business, because if you look at those numbers, it's a clear indication that a lot of people are actually going into this business as a business. But I hope out of these 1,600, let's say half have got the passion and are kind, and they've got the patience as well. Well, it's very, very important, when you are going to run a business like this. Okay, so you have to you have to recruit a registered manager. That's for children residential homes. And also this is under the regulation 28. Like what Muchada was saying, that the manager should have worked within the last 5 years in a residential children's setting. I would normally say in a residential children's setting. I know that there are people who are coming from CQC, who are also coming into children as well. But try to do this when you've got that exposure within the children's setting itself. But obviously you have to start from somewhere. So what I've said to most people is, why don't you look for an agency job and go in as a support worker? Because you have to start from somewhere, We have all done it, where you go in as a support worker or as a residential worker in children's, or probably as part-time. I know you'll be having your CQC business, but go and apply somewhere else, as an agency staff, and learn from there. You learn a lot from being on the ground itself and do the job itself. Not everything you learn from paper. Also, the person should have at least 1 year, at least one year in a role that requires supervision in management of staff. So that can be probably a shift leader role, and goes into deputy manager, in a position that you are managing people and you are supervising people. That is your staff. And also should have at least a qualification of level 3 diploma in diploma in leadership and diploma in residential care, and also working towards a level 5 in diploma in leadership and management for residential children's care. It's very, very important that you must have these qualifications at the time when you apply. Either you might not have the level 5 diploma, but if you have a level 3 diploma, at least that, and working towards a level 5, that is something that the Ofsted will require. You will need also have to recruit a responsible individual. This could be a director in the company. Like myself, I'm the director, but also I am the responsible individual, a role that I've kept for a few years now within all our children's homes, and also nominated individual within all our supported accommodation. I have always said I've kept this role. I know I can employ someone to do the same job that I'm doing, but for consistent purposes, for consistency, I've kept this role in-house with me, because what is happening at the moment is the market. I don't know what has happened for the first few years. Those who are in residential care will know this. It's people are moving. Just you can employ a person today, and next week the same agency that would have advertised that person will offer another opportunity that is probably much better, higher salary, and they'll just move on. Managers are moving on, responsible individuals are moving on. I'm not too sure what is happening. You know, maybe we'll help each other here to really understand what is happening in this line of work or business. So you can recruit, you should recruit, or you can recruit if you are not experienced, like what Chada was saying, that if you are not experienced, please don't do this, don't take these roles. Just recruit somebody who is experienced. And if you are experienced as a director, you can be a responsible individual, or you can be a nominated individual if it's supported accommodation, or you can be both in supported accommodation, a service manager, and a nominated individual, but only with experience. Recruit a staff team, which is Regulation 32, a staff team that that have the appropriate skills, experience, and knowledge, and they should pass the safer recruitment checks. There is no shortcut. There is no shortcut, especially when you are recruiting your staff team. They have to pass the safer recruitment checks. It's very, very important. Also, after you've done all that, you will have to submit your application to the regulatory body, which is Ofsted. You have to create an account on the Ofsted online portal, complete the SC1 application form. This is the children's home provider, so this is what you as the provider will have to complete online, and complete the SC2 application form. Your registered manager will complete that one. Your responsible individual or any director who is part of the registration will have to complete that one. Few years back, they were not bothered much about the other directors, especially when you've got a partnership with somebody else. But now things have changed. You have to have your other director as well, you know, complete that SC2 form online. It does not, if the other director is not going to be involved with children on a day-to-day basis, managing the homes and all that, and even oversight of the homes, they will not require much. But they also want them to be DBS checked. So that's something that you should consider as well. Attach supporting documents. That includes the statement of purpose, a copy of certificate of insurance, which Dr. Udenge from Egomat is there for. Also, you should also provide your policies. I've just mentioned a few there, which normally on registration you need to provide. Missing child policy, that's missing from care policy, behavior management policy, safeguarding policy, prevention of bullying policy, complaints procedure, young persons guide, or some would call it the children's guide. Also locality risk assessment, your financial viability statement, proof of funding, that is for Blue Hector. So we've got everyone here represented today. So for those who want to open children's homes and supported accommodation, you can do it on the spot today. Everyone is here. Also, you need what is called a planning permission. Now, you cannot just rent a house from a landlord, for those who want to use their rented properties, and go and apply for planning permission without the landlord's agreement. So you need to speak to your landlord first, and also do your visibility study in the area. Also speak to your local authority so that at least they are aware that you want to apply for a planning permission, because you will require this. This is for residential children's homes. Supported accommodation, at the moment you don't require planning permission unless you are going to have more than, I think it's more than 3 or 4 children. Chada, if you could correct me there, where you require HMO registration, but you will not require a planning permission. So at the moment, I think we are still safe there, because planning permissions are not easy at all. Those who have gone through planning permissions, they are not easy at all. I've never heard of a planning permission of a children's home where neighbors and councillors have said yes there and there. There's no way, no chance, because how your neighbors think of these children who are in care is different from what we know. Yeah, so it's very, very difficult. You have to make sure that you've got all those things in place. Why then also, when you go through the fit persons and suitability assessment, which is an interview. That is the Ofsted interview, which I know most people are afraid of. But there's nothing to be afraid of, to be fair. I mean, because whatever they are going to ask you, everything is all in here. Even in those barcodes which Muchada put there, I hope people have taken those ones, because everything is in there. So they are not going to ask you anything that is not in their own books that they've created. And also they are not going to ask anything that you don't have on your statement of purpose. Most of us, we have these documents prepared by other people. So we'll have our documents prepared by Care Quality, Mr. Mshandu, HSCPN. They will prepare these documents for us. But what we don't do is we don't go through it ourselves, right? So if you have your documents prepared, which most of us do, I mean, let's be honest, because some of these things we don't know how to do it, right? So let's give the experts to do it. So when these experts complete those documents, find time to go through, what they have completed. Like what Blue Hector was saying, that, some of us directors, I must say probably I'm one of them. When my financial statements come, I pass it through my operations and financial team to look into it. And I'll just put the final signature just like that. So I've learned something today, Blue Hector. Thank you so much. Otherwise, I might be signing for the wrong things. So it's the same as well. When you have your policies done by these professionals who are doing policies and preparing all these things for you, just find time to read. Familiarize yourself with all those documents, because that is exactly what the inspector is going to ask you on your interview. Mr. Mshandu is not going to be there at your interview. You'll be on your own. Find time, read those documents, go through all those documents, go through your statement of purpose, personalize it, understand it, you make it your own. Yeah, not just think that because I've got it and what I'm going to just do is I'm just going to go and sit in an interview. You look silly when you are sitting there and the inspector is asking you something that is within your own document, which you are saying that this is your company document, and you've got no clue, no idea. Even if it's something that you don't do, if it's there and you feel maybe you might do it in the future, then go back to Mr. Mshandu and say, Godfrey, can you explain a bit further on this one so that I will know what I want to say in my interview? I'm just being honest here, because I know that majority of us, we just go and buy these policies and the like. Because this is why there are people who do such things, who do policies, who do this statement of purposes for us, who helps us, these consultancies. But you also have to be reading these things, understand them, and don't be shy to ask questions. So there are some compliance key pointers that you need to understand when you are running a children's home, residential children's home. There is what is called the Regulation 44 visits, which you have to look for an independent person. This is not somebody who is employed by you. This is not your relative. This is not your husband or your wife or your partner. This is somebody who's very independent from your company. So what this person will be doing is more like quality assurance. It's more of a mini Ofsted inspection that they do, right? They will come and inspect your homes monthly. It's a regulatory requirement that they have to do it every month. And when they inspect your homes, they will send you the report. You go through the report. That's another thing again. Go through the report, read the report, understand what they put there, because sometimes what I've noticed with some of these Reg 44s, because they've got quite a lot of homes that they would try to do in the same area on the same day. Yeah, they sometimes do a bit of shortcuts where they might even write there that you did not have this and that, or you did not have a vehicle insurance when you have it. So go through it. If you have seen that there's something that they've written there that you feel that they need to correct, don't hesitate to point it to them to say you need to correct this one because we've got this and evidence what you have. So that's a very, very important regulatory visit, that one. And if you are the responsible individual, you have to put your comments, because usually there might be an action plan there, or there might not be any action which you need to do, but you have, this will show that you have read anyway your report. You have to put your comments as the responsible individual. Your manager will also have to put their comments, and you send it back to the Reg 44. Years back, you could send it yourself to Ofsted, but Ofsted has changed that, because from what I heard, I did ask my Reg 44 about this. Some of us were changing things there. So you'd receive a Reg 44 inspection report, start to play around with it to make sure that obviously whatever actions that inspector would have put there, you know, you can lie a little bit and change it. So what now Ofsted has done is only the Reg 44 inspector will send the final completed report to Ofsted. Keep a copy for in your own files of this, and make sure that any action that is there has been completed before the next visit. This is a monthly visit. There is also the regulation 40. This is serious incidences. Things like when a child is hospitalized or in hospital for 24 hours. Things like when a child is seriously injured. Things like when police have visited your home. Just to mention a few. You have to do what is called a Reg 40 to Ofsted. And you have to do, I tell my staff that Reg 40s are supposed to be done in 12 hours. That is what I tell my managers. I don't follow what is in their books or whatever, because I want them to be done as soon as possible. It does not matter how many words you are going to write on that Reg 40, as long as you've written the key points of is it an injury, what, or is the child being hospitalized. But try to get that Reg 40 sent and be accountable for it as the business owner or as the responsible individual, for those who would want those roles of responsible individual. Because what has been happening is Ofsted, most businesses that have been registered with Ofsted, especially those who are not familiar with these things, they've been caught short on those Reg 40s. They don't understand what needs to be sent as a Reg 40 and what should not be sent. So if you are not sure, I would rather send whatever you think you want to send, because what do you lose anyway? Nothing. It's for Ofsted to look into it and see whether this meet threshold or it does not meet threshold of a Reg 40. So it's important to understand this. And also, there's what is called the Regulation 45. This is a 6-monthly report that cover the care provided, any safeguarding concerns. You also have feedback. I think Muchada spoke about feedback. You also gain feedback from the children themselves, parents, external agencies, professionals such as the social workers, local authorities, health professionals if they're involved. Many times they are. And also any actions from your quality standards which probably would have been picked on your inspections. Ensure that this report is evidence-based. Use data, feedback, and real examples. Because Muchada did show you a picture. There are some pictures of his children's supported accommodation. Those same pictures, if it was children's homes where you do the Regulation 45 report, that would be brilliant to be in the report. When I was sitting there, to be honest, I felt proud that my own brother, he's doing well. To be fair, I really felt proud, because this is where we are missing the point. These children, we become their families. We are not the corporate parents. The local authority is the corporate parent, but we become their families. Majority of them, we are only who they know. Majority of them, we are only the people who probably would take them to London for the first time. Did you know that some of the children here in the UK have never been in London? Did you know that some of the children, British-born children, have never used a washing machine. Did you know that? I was born in Africa, in Zimbabwe, never used a washing machine, didn't even know what it was until I was fully grown up and we were experimenting and we bought one. But children here, where you think is the first world and they know all these things, they've got no clue. So when we teach them to use these washing machines, teach them life skills, take them for trips, London, seasides, do their birthdays like what Mushada did, it could be for the first time. So that's really part of it. That's what brings the whole joy in what we do every day. It takes money to do all that, and I can assure you and I can tell you that if you've got an accounts team within your systems, they will be pointing out to say, I think we are losing money here. Having all those birthdays and the like, you're always constantly fighting with your accounts team because all they see is numbers. But we don't see numbers. I, for one, don't see numbers. We'll put as much as we can to make sure that also those children's lifestyles are changed forever, right? So this Regulation 45 report is very, very important. Every 6 months, you are supposed to, your manager is the one who does the Regulation 45 report. And if you are a responsible individual or if you are a director who is very much involved, you need to go through and read that report and also put your comments. There are examples of non-compliance examples. I'm just going to give you one that is very, very common. So the Regulation 44 visitor reports have not been submitted to Ofsted within reasonable time frames. Normally, I think it's 28 days, which Ofsted will usually say you have to submit your Reg 44 visit reports, because this is what helps them to sort of like inspect your homes even when they are not there. They don't need to come and inspect your homes. If your Reg 44 visitor writes something there that triggers them to for an inspection, even an unannounced inspection, they will do it from that report. So you can see how important those reports are. So you have sort of like, I put that as an example that which I've seen happening a lot, where some of these reports have not been submitted to Ofsted. Responsible individuals like myself have got no clue that they need to put their feedback on those reports as well. That's a breach. That's what we call non-compliance. So I'm just going to give you that as an example. By the way, these slides, Health Social Care Providers Network, they've got the slides. So if you want them, I'm sure they will send them to you. So you can read also the other breaches there. The breach of education standard, which is another one which is common. You have a child who comes to you who should be in school, and you've got no evidence of looking for education placements, nothing. All you are doing is you think your role is just to look after that child. Yeah? How about school? So you have to support that child working with the local authority to make sure that you find a suitable school education provision for that child. As long as you can show evidence that you are doing that. So your manager, if you've got a very good manager, they will be able to show that evidence. They will be able to liaise with local authorities and push the social workers, put everything in writing, and push for education. If you are not registered as an education provider, please don't run in illegal education placement on your home. Yes, you can do what is called homeschooling. It's there, you can do, but not for long. With the agreement with the local authority, while they are looking for a provision for that child, you can start to homeschool that child. But do try and evidence, write to them all the time, telling them that you are not an education provider, because you'll be breaching. If you continue running that little school of yours, you'll be breaching. So be careful there, because Ofsted Regulation 45, it's also done every 6 months, and that's your registered manager who is supposed to do the Reg 45. Regulation 40, which is the reporting of serious incidences. That's the registered manager who is supposed to be doing that as well, and that should be it's immediately after every incident. Try and ask your manager to train deputy managers to complete these Reg 40s as well, so that if your manager is away on holiday and there is an incident, the deputy manager or shift leader or team leader, it depends how you run your homes, is able to send in a Regulation 40. If you are a responsible individual like myself, do audits of these monthly. I do audits of my Reg 40s monthly, and I'll sit down with my managers. We go through each Reg 40 that would have been sent to Ofsted. This is a part of my own quality assurance, which I do, and I found it working, because at the end of the day, if you are not aware of all these incidents that are happening at your own home, then something is missing there. I'm sure you would understand that when it comes to a situation where you stand in front of an Ofsted panel, you won't even know where to start, because things can just turn around and be as nasty as what you might think, to be honest, especially with Ofsted. So final tips: ensure all staff are trained and are aware of their roles and regulations in these regulations. Keep records of Regulation 44 and Regulation 45 reports for internal and Ofsted inspections. Establish clear procedures for reporting serious incidences under Regulation 40. Work with external professionals, social workers, police, healthcare, LADO, so those who know what LADO is, to address issues raised in the reports. How to set up supported accommodation. I will try and just fly on this one because Chada has covered quite a lot. I'm not going to repeat what he has said, but this obviously there's a typo error there. In April 2023, that is when Ofsted decided that they wanted to regulate this service, and it only started October 2023. So now, as it stands, it's against the law to run a supported accommodation, which we used to call semi-independent living, without being regulated, without being registered by Ofsted, right? You also have to develop your policies as well. So it's the same policies that I have spoken about in our children's registration, children's homes registration. You also have to meet the quality standards, ensure that your service promotes independence, safety, emotional well-being, and progression. These are the 16 to 17 year olds. So what Ofsted is looking at is you have to promote independence. So if you are going to take a young person who requires 24-hour care, 2-to-1, that will not meet threshold of supported accommodation. Ofsted will have issues with you, right? So if you've got those children within your services, you might be okay now because they haven't inspected you, but the same local authorities that gives you these children have to report to Ofsted to say, we have put so and so at such and such a company, and this is what the care is. This is the care that is being provided, and that will trigger an inspection, because the local authorities are supposed to report to Ofsted to make sure that Ofsted is aware. So just be mindful there. If you have a child that is on doors, whenever you're reading the referrals and you see doors there, this is a complete no. I am aware that the SCIF guidelines have been updated as of last month. Is it May or March, April? They've been updated, and what Ofsted now is trying to do is to make sure that all those children with complex needs who are indoors and the like have places to stay. So if you see the 16, 17 year olds there on referral saying that there's a dose in place. They still don't meet threshold for supported accommodation. They only meet threshold for residential care. I know as much as we want to support, as much as we want to help, but this is out of our hands as providers. Let's allow Ofsted to deal with it with the local authorities, because I think they messed up, in my view, when they said that you cannot have those children in supported accommodation, because no sane children's home will take such a child who is on dose at 16 or at 17 in their children's homes. From experience, now, not a chance. But Ofsted is trying by all means to reassure us not to cherry pick on children, to say it's not going to affect your registration, neither is it going to affect your scoring on inspections. Please take these children in residential children's homes. Staffing in support, it's always advisable that you recruit experienced staff in supported accommodation. I would say level 3 qualified or working towards a level 3. Those are the NVQs. Those who used to know them as NVQs, now they're being called diplomas. Also provide staffing support. If you are, it depends what you are providing. Are you providing staffing support on site, or is it just an on-call service? So this depends on the service model that you are offering. You have to be ready for inspection. Be prepared for Ofsted inspection. With supported accommodation, Ofsted will inspect the same way they inspect with children's homes. However, their categories are a little bit different, but they will also come and inspect you. You also have to build relationships with commissioning teams. Many times I'm asked a question, how do I build those relationships with commissioning teams and the local authorities? Write to them and introduce yourself, to say, I'm so and so, this is my company, we are registered, this is our registration number, and this is what we do. And try and attend the events that in most local authorities, they do events, they do trainings. Try and attend those events and trainings. Start shaking hands with them, start knowing them, let them know you. Same with what we are having here, this network. Local authorities have got the same networks. Also ensure that referral pathways and funding agreements are in place. Don't take a child on a Friday without an agreement in writing. I repeat, do not do that. Yeah, I'm talking from experience. We have all started somewhere. Yeah, I'm not shy to tell you of my small experience. Muchada was talking about his experience here. We have done it before. On a Friday night, we are desperate to have a child in our care. Social workers, they ring, yes, we've got availability. The next thing, yeah, child is coming. There is not even a single agreement. And what happens on a Monday? The local authority is not even aware that that child is in your placement, you know. And the next thing is, you can't put that child in the street. You've started paying your staff. That child is eating. Everything is happening there. And you have to start afresh in trying to sort this out. We have had a child that stayed with us for 7 days and had to be moved on. No payment. This happened to us. Yeah? Please don't do that. Make sure that you've got that in writing. Ask the social worker or duty social worker, whoever it is, to send you in an email. That will be evidence that you send to the commissioning team, because normally they'll say, yes, this has been approved, agreed by the directors, blah, 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 blah. Child A is moving in tonight. To them, they've done their job. Fridays, especially Fridays, social worker wants to go home. Yeah, what do? I've been a social worker myself. I've done it before myself, so I know. But I was caught at the wrong side of it myself when I was now a provider. So please don't do what some of us have done. That's why we are here, to share these experiences so that we help each other.